So I guess we can start. We'll officially welcome everyone. We're glad you could join us today. I'm Jess, Business Development Manager at BGL Corporate Solutions here in New Zealand. And joining me today is Jackson Brigg, Head of Global Sales at FuseSign. Luca is also the Head of Sales from BGL, is also here as a panelist. Just quick housekeeping. Today's session will be recorded and we'll be sending through a copy of that to you afterwards. Also, feel free to drop questions in the chat anytime and we'll pick those up as we go. Awesome. So, of course, today we're going to show you how CAS 360 and FuseSign work together to make your compliance signing workflow faster and a whole lot less manual. And before we get into it, we've got quick poll questions. And Luca will help us out in flashing those questions. It'll only take a couple of minutes. It helps us make sure today's session is as useful as possible for your practice. So let's go. Okay, perfect. All right, so I'll just read through the questions. The first one, how does your firm currently manage your corporate compliance? Okay. Okay, interesting answers that we have here. Yeah. Second one, how does your firm currently send documents for signing? Wow.
It's always a
More than
mix.
half. Yeah, correct. But more than half of them are actually using digital signing. So
That's
that's
right.
good. That's really great.
Mm.
The third question is, what is most important to you when choosing a compliance software? So, if you're already using CAS 360, which one remains the most important to you? And if you're not using CAS 360, yeah, let us know which is the most important factor for you. Yeah, wow, it's actually a mix, an equal mix. Like everyone really wants to save time, okay? And yes, seamless integrations with other apps. Yeah, perfect that you're here today. We have a seamless integration with FuseSign. And then, yeah, ease of use and user experience. Of course, we all want a user-friendly software to use, right?
Mm.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. Thank you very much, everyone, for participating in that poll. Really appreciate it. Okay, so, all right, perfect. So let's go for and discuss today's agenda. Here's what we've got planned for today. I'll kick things off with, let's really identify what is the compliance workflow problem that we are experiencing. And then we'll look at how CAS 360 and FuseSign work together to solve it. And of course, we'll do a live demo so you can see the full workflow in action, followed by a Q&A section, and let's identify the next steps. And yep, that's going to be our webinar flow for today. Let's start with the problem. Okay. All right. So I guess most of you can actually relate points that are being shown in the screen at this time. So the first issue is right at the start of the process. Preparing documents takes far too long. Annual returns, minutes, resolutions, maybe transfer forms, forms 2, 3, 9, consent forms, and so on and so on. You draft them manually each and every time. You even format them, every time you need to make or every time you need to do filing. For larger firms managing hundreds of companies, that's a significant chunk of time that just shouldn't be going there. And for those of you who are from smaller firms, where time and resources are already stretched, the potential for saving is just as real and maybe more. Okay, so let's discuss the next one. Maybe after we prepared all these documents, right? sits. Maybe someone needs to approve it internally. Someone needs to download something, attach to an email, chase for, again, as I said, an internal approval. And by the time it goes out, the time has already been lost. Then it lands into your client's inbox, and guess what happens? It goes quiet, right? Clients delay signing or miss the email entirely, and there's nothing automated to nudge them. So, someone in your team or you yourself would need to actually remind yourself to follow up with that client manually. Again, it actually takes a lot of time and effort, right? And through all of this, there is no centralized visibility. You don't know what's been sent, what's been signed, what's still waiting, and that information lives in someone's inbox or in their head. The result? Manual chasing, deadline pressure, and risk. And it's not because your team isn't doing the right things, but because the workflow itself is actually working against you.
Mm.
And that's exactly what we're trying to change here today. Okay. So now let me explain how CAS 360 or where CAS 360 fits in this particular solution that we're trying to propose. Okay. All right. So CAS 360 centralizes everything, right? Okay. Let me just go back to that slide. Okay. Every company your firm manages all in one place. Company records, registers, office holders, filing history, all are current, accessible, and hopefully no more multiple spreadsheets. Annual returns and company change workflows are automated. CAS 360 tracks what's due and when, so your team isn't relying on a single calendar or a single to-do list to stay on top of deadlines, and documents are automatically prepared and generated for you. So in CAS 360, we automatically generate those documents that I've mentioned earlier, and you can file them directly into the software through the software. And last but not the least is visibility, which is very important, right? You can see across your entire client base what's outstanding, what's in progress, and what's done. So no more chasing your own team member for updates, right? So that's the foundation. And of course, the final piece, the one that closes the loop in signing, is where FuseSign comes in, right? So I'll hand over to Jackson now to walk you through that.
Yeah, thanks, Jess. And absolutely, I think the way that Cas 360 has been built has been such a godsend for so many of the clients that we work with, and we're fairly similar. So I guess with us, our story starts with a lot of first-hand experience if we just take a step back. So well over a decade ago, FuseSign was actually born out of our own chartered accounting practice based in Brisbane. So our founder is Melissa Voss, and who's a chartered accountant, has been for many years, and Scott Barber have more than 40 years of combined experience working in and around the account industry. And as you can imagine, over that time, there've been a lot of the similar challenges that a lot of the industry has faced, especially when it comes to the technology space. We know there's a lot of upsides, but with technology, there's also a lot of frustrations. So one of the biggest pain points for us, excuse me, early on was the process of having documents signed. And what we found really interesting was, despite how critical we know the process is of having documents signed, there was actually a really big gap in any solutions that were built for accounting practices to be able to leverage. So our firm was originally using one of the portals, and we know a lot of us on the call know what those client portals can be like. Clients needing to set up accounts, having username and passwords. It ended up causing a lot of headaches for clients to navigate that, but also for our team having to manage that with our clients along the way and dealing with a lot of frustration. So we went away and had a look at a lot of the different global e-signing and digital signing providers that we have out there, to see what we could get around more efficiency for something a little bit more modern. And we actually just ended up running into similar problems but in a different way, and that was around having really limited functionality that was built specifically for the business that we worked in, which was accounting. We found that there was little to no integration options at the time, and the cost was enormous. So we went back and forth for quite a lot of time, and we ended up letting that frustration sort of lead us to building and developing FuseSign. And that's because we wanted something internally that was built for the way that we worked. We wanted it to be cost effective, we wanted it to be locally supported, and most importantly, and why we're here today, is because we wanted to make sure that it was seamlessly integrated across all the other apps that we're using. So having the client experience is really important, and making sure that that was simple. but also we wanted to make sure that from our team's time, there was efficiencies that we could gain by integrating alongside all the apps that we work with internally. So thankfully, with Scott's background in software development and accounting, we had a lot of the capability to build that. And so we committed to doing exactly that. And just yesterday, we had our 6th birthday with FuseSign, which is pretty exciting. So what started as a solution which was purely for our firm, we obviously identified quite quickly that it was quite a big industry problem, not just in Australia and New Zealand, but in the UK as well. And today we now proudly support well over 2,400 accounting practices across those regions, and have grown into being a leading provider in the space. So it's been a really exciting 6 years. And again, like when we talk about the integrations, it's ones that we've developed continuously, and one that we've improved so much over the year is with the BGL suite, so CAS 360 in particular, and that's what we're really keen to show off today. Luca and I were just talking earlier, and they identified that 73% of their clients use some type of e-signing, and 50% of our clients are integrated with CAS 360. So both BGL or CAS and Fuse, we work really closely with the majority of our clients across the board. So for those who haven't seen it today, yeah, we're super excited to take you through it.
Awesome. Thanks, Jackson. All right. Okay. So now I'm excited to show you how the connected workflow looks like. It looks pretty simple and easy, right? Just prepare documents in CAS 360, send email to the client through the software, client signs digitally, go back to CAS, finalize the record, and file them right away, right? But of course, it's going to be more exciting if I show you how it actually works through the software. So I'm going to be doing a demo of that integration. Okay, just give me a second as I share my screen for the demo. Okay, all right. Are you able to see my screen? With
Yeah, looks good.
the CAS 360
We do,
demo?
yeah. Yep.
Perfect. All right, awesome. All right, everyone. So what you can see right now is your homepage of CAS 360. In here, you'll be able to see, the authorized companies that we import directly from company's office for you, right? And so for the workflow that we were mentioning earlier, I'm going to show you how you can quickly file an annual return through here. So let's go to the returns section in here. And in CAS 360, you can actually do bulk filing. Okay, so you can actually do filtering of your companies by month. So if you want to do everything in one go, that's totally possible. So you can filter by month, by status, or even labels or categories that you can create. You can also do multiple selection like this, or you can just do a single filing, which we will be doing right now. So I'm going to select this company and hit prepare documents. Okay, so as you can see, the annual return document has been generated for you, okay, within a click. And so what happens now is that I am already actually integrated with FuseSign, but what you can do is you can just hit this arrow to hit send all and set automated document reminders. Okay, so I'll click on that one, and this email preview will come up. You can add your logo as well. You can customize this basically and just hit send. Okay.
Yeah, I love that you've got the automated reminders as well with CAS. So the firms that are manually following things up, and quite a few in that poll responded that they're sending things out by the mail. I know that the firm used to have a big old spreadsheet which had everything in there, reminders, the dates that they'd sent out, and the team would manually follow all of that up. So to be able to set and forget seems so simple, but it's so effective.
Exactly. Like, following up takes a lot of time and effort, like mentally. You need to
Definitely
be
mentally.
ready to get to hear the answer, right?
Mm,
So with this, automated document reminder, you let the system do the nudging for you.
yep.
Okay. So and you do this task in one go. You can basically move on to your other tasks after this. Okay. So you can set up the first reminder, set up the time, send it by email or SMS or both, and you can add like up to 5, right? So For example, you set two reminders, and then the after the first reminders get sent, your end client actually signs it. The second reminder will automatically be canceled. So it is very smart not to annoy the client, like not to annoy the end client. As what Jackson said, it sounds so simple, but actually it is actually like really valuable. So this is how you actually set up the automated document reminders, and then yep, I'll just hit save. Okay. And so what happens now is that that email will automatically go to your client. That reminder will also be sent. So let's see from your client's perspective. So I'm just gonna check in my inbox if that email has come through. Okay. Okay, so it's there, right? So imagine I'm your end client. I'll be reading this email, and what your client can do is just click review documents. Okay, click review documents and start signing. Okay, so they can review this, and of course, if there's anything that needs to be changed, they can simply reject it and put a note on why they rejected it. You get a notification in CAS on those details. Otherwise, your end client can just start signing. Okay, so hit sign. And so what happens now, because of that integration, the signed documents will automatically flow into your CAS 360. So imagine you don't have to like download from your email to attach it into CAS 360. The two softwares just talk to each other to make that workflow really seamless. Okay. So yeah, that signed copies will be saved into your CAS automatically. And from your end, you'll get a notification, something like this, that that the documents have been digitally signed. And just go to documents here and click lodge to file it. That's so easy, right? And earlier we were mentioning about visibility, right? With this document screen, you'll be able to see what the status of your transactions are, right? It's very visible which ones are due in the next 7 days, 14 days, or which ones are overdue, right? So there is visibility across, the firm, so that it's not relying on one person, like what's been happening, right?
Yeah, and just
Okay,
I'll
so
just mention there as well. What we noticed, it almost seems too quick and too simple, doesn't it, in terms of that actual process. What I mentioned before in terms of some of the frustrations that the firm had around the client experience was too many things that block clients from getting done what we need them to get done. And username and passwords are a great way to stop a client from doing what we need them to do, especially if they don't remember what their login details are. So you'll notice with FuseSign there that Jess was able to just go through into that email, click the link, jump in and sign directly. So for clients, there's no need for any username and passwords. It's completely transactional, and it's also friendly across all their devices. So if they're signing from their phone, from a laptop, from an iPad. So a lot of clients who have regional clients who aren't sitting in front of a laptop like we are all day, lucky them, they are able to go through and sign anywhere, which makes it really simple for them. We do have quite a few options around having MFA, so if we did want to have a two-step authentication for clients depending on the document types that we're sending, if they're sensitive, we have all those options, but again, completely transactional, no login details. The way Jess went through it there is how your clients would go through it the first time they ever use FuseSign. So simplicity is key, I think, when it comes to that client experience, and as Jess is showing, just simple when it comes back straight into CAS pretty much immediately.
that's awesome. Like, I really appreciate that workload. Like, I guess if I were really in their shoes, I would really love to use this kind of easy to
Mm,
use like platform as well. So our role really is to remove all the barriers or like the roadblocks to achieve what we want to achieve here, right? So
absolutely.
I totally agree with Jackson. Like removing that kind of like extra work for the end client is really helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna just quickly go ahead and show you, because this particular workflow is not only applicable for annual returns, it's actually also applicable for other transactions as well. And I think they're also very um, helpful too. So in CAS 360, you can make changes with addresses, like directly from the software. Okay. And then you can do officer changes as well. So let's try to do quickly one officer change by trying to add a new director. Okay. Because we were mentioning earlier how much time it takes to actually prepare, the documents before sending it out to the clients, right? So I added a director here. And what you can just do is click prepare forms. So within a click, all these relevant documents are already pre-populated for you. You don't have to identify, oh, which form do I need? Oh, which template do I use and whatnot. So you can see here form 9 has already been generated. Okay, so easy. It's just within the click. And then the director's minutes, which you can change into a resolution, has been generated as well. And all these templates are already preloaded in the software. Okay. And another beautiful thing is the register of officers and, the registers being automatically updated for you. I'm curious who among here tend to like forget updating the register after they actually do the filing. Okay. I think the chat is closed, but yep, I think it is pretty common. So you can see here that the register here has been updated as of today. And we've box as a director. Okay, so it's one less thing to do as well for you. And you can see here that the shareholders minutes resolutions and consent to act have been prepared for you. So what you can do now, just like what we've done earlier, is hit that send all, set that automated document reminder if you like, send it to the client digitally signs. All the signed copies will be sent back to CAS 360. You go back to you log into your CAS 360 and just hit, lodge to file that appointment of director.
Yeah, Jess, I'll just
Right?
mention there as well is for those who are
Yes.
using e-signing at the moment, one of the things we normally get is saying, well, I know that there are all these sign here boxes where clients need to sign, but when we look at that integration, we don't go in and fill any of that out. And one of the strongest parts about the integration, again, like we spoke about the client side, but from your team side internally, BGL have done a lot of work in making sure that it's seamless from the point that because they understand the relationships and who needs to sign where in those documents, they automatically populate who needs to sign where and the dating fields within those documents for you. So again, there's another full step removed for the team needing to go through and manually tag up those documents. They can literally just create them, send them for signing, and BGL, CAS, and FuseSign do the rest. So we don't have any other integration that is automated to that degree. So it's pretty impressive on the day to day.
Totally agree. Perfect. Yeah, I guess I'll show you one last transaction before I end the demo. So let's go to the shareholder screen. So these are the transactions that you can do with regard to shares. So today we'll try to do, let's try to issue a share. Okay, so I'm just going to put a random data in here. Okay, and hit save. Okay, yeah. All right, so let's go and prepare forms, right? So as you can see within a click, all the relevant documents are again prepared. The register of shareholders have been automatically updated for you, which is beautiful. And then the issued journal is there. The director's minutes, which you can change into a resolution, has been prepared for you. Share certificate is all ready to go. Application for shares. Okay, perfect. So one thing I want to mention here as well is because earlier we were talking about internal approval, right? You also need to sometimes chase someone to approve before sending out to a client. What you can do is you can toggle these flag documents to be reviewed, and then you can send it internally, maybe to an accountant or a partner,
Hmm.
if that is part of your workflow, right? And so when they approve it, send to your client automatically. And if they reject it, of course, it will go back to you to re-prepare it and make the necessary changes. So again, that removes that, extra work again for you.
Yeah.
And so we can do the same process earlier. Once it gets approved by the approver, email goes out, client signs them, you get a notification in CAS, you go to documents and hit lodge to file that transaction. And then the beauty is that you don't have to go back, say, the next day or 1 week after to update the register. The register gets automatically updated for you when you trigger, this kinds of transaction. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I think that is the end of the demo itself. Let me just go back to the slides. Okay. So yeah, this is the summary of what I've shown you earlier.
Yep. Yeah, just
And
just
yeah,
just before we jump into that, I might as well, if I can just steal your screen for a moment,
yes,
just
please.
because I'm just looking at the time, we've got a bit of extra time, so I thought it might be good to also just show through FuseSign standalone quickly. So
Yes. Oh
as
yeah.
we know, there's a huge amount that we can do through CAS 360, but the other part of this is that we have a lot of ad hoc documents that need to be sent for sign-in as well. So while we have all these great integrations, and just checking you can see my screen there. While we have all these great integrations, it's also important for us to make sure that we can, again, like I said earlier, give the client a really seamless but single sign-in experience across the board. And again, with the polls that we ran before, there was quite a percentage of you who use a bit of everything. So they might be using a little bit of e-signing, some things via the mail, some things via email, or using multiple signing platforms because they have integrations across different things, and we're trying to get that internal efficiency going. So what we're able to do here is make sure that the client's getting the same experience while making sure that we're leveraging those integrations at the same time. So what I thought I'd show you, and I won't show you the client sign-in experience because we've had a look at that, but just how we would go through and build a bundle of documents to send out through FuseSign directly. So for anything ad hoc. Now, when we come into FuseSign, we try to keep this quite simple in terms of where you live. Where the team would live 99% of the time are in these top 4 tabs here. So we're currently in that new bundle, but when we look at our active bundles and our completed bundles, it gives us a way to make sure that we can track everything that's out for signing. So whether it's across CAS, ad hoc documents, from FYI, from any other integration that we might be using, we can track everything through here. So while we're in that new bundle screen, so for those who haven't had much experience with e-signing before, look at this like an email. The main 3 components of an email is what are we saying in it, who's it going to, and what documents are we attaching as a part of it. And that's really the same method that we're following here, except we try to automate it. So for the emails that go out, we can come through and we can use email templates. So you might have those set templates internally that you use. And that way, when the team's coming through and building this, the client's getting consistency around what's being said and asked of them within that email. So it's not person dependent. We can speed it up, or we can keep it consistent. As to what Jess mentioned as well, we can absolutely have automatic reminders going using those due dates. So we can have those set automatically. So you'll notice that I didn't set this. It was created for me to say 7 days after the bundle's sent, we want reminders going the day before, and then weekly post that due date, which we can change. But ideally, if it's not working to a certain date, we can just set and forget. When we come down, we talk about some of the other integrations that we offer. So we also do integrate with a range of different practice management solutions. So XPM, FYI Elite, MYOB, APS, and a range of others, Carbon, to make sure that you also have an option to pull through contact data. So that way, when you add or update any contacts within your practice management solution, FuseSign is looking at that database and pulling that through. So we're not having to manage separate databases across the firm. So I can bring through my recipients here, and then I can simply come through and drag in some documents that I might want to use. So I'll just keep it simple for this example. One of my absolute favorite features and things that really do make a big difference is what you'll see here is we have a bit of a grid view. So what stands FuseSign apart from quite a few other providers is giving you the ability to nominate within a group. So if we have multiple recipients, who we want seeing, signing, and not seeing each document within that pack. Because we might want to include quite a few different things for mum and dad, but we want to make sure that we've got the kids in there, but we only want them seeing their tax return and nothing else. So we've got that flexibility in FuseSign to come through and to nominate that. So we might say these 2 recipients are signing. Anyone left to none means they don't view that document as a part of their pack. So we have a lot more security and privacy control across everything that's going out. And that way as well, your team's only putting together one pack of documents to send, and the client's only getting one email to view and sign. We're not sending sporadic things out because we're having to hide particular things from people, and ultimately giving the client more work to do. We can do a lot of things here, and I won't go into all the nitty gritty details, but having like separate signing groups. So if we're saying in this example, we want myself and Amelia to sign our documents first, and then once we've completed our actions, trigger that second notification to the next group, we can split that out. So that might be a partner internally signing off on some documents, or just a stepped approach that we want to take. In terms of notifications, what you'll see here is we have SMS to view. So that's where we're using things like that 2FA. So again, completely transactional. Because we have the contact mobile number here, it means that I'm going to get that SMS through with that code so I can authenticate before I view my documents. But we can also then use that for things like notifications. So it's the only way my accountant gets me to do things is actually send me a message, or send me a text, so I can get a link straight through to my phone that says, hey, you've got some documents for signing from BGL accountants, click here and go through and sign. So it makes it really simple for them to jump in, sign off, get it done, and you can get on with the rest of the work. When we come through, the final sort of piece here is just tagging up the documents. And again, it's about simplicity for this, but making sure you have plenty of options around what you need the client to do when they're engaging with these documents. So for this case of BGL, they're normally quite simple in terms of just saying we need a signature and we might need a signing date to populate. But we also have options around saying, well, we also need text fields filled out. We need check boxes selected to select an option. We can include the signer's name. There's a range of different things that we can do here. And to automate that even more, for a lot of our documents where we know that they're quite static and that they don't have a lot of change in them. So this example of an ELD is a great example where we know that signatures and dates are populated in the same place every time. We can also set up things like placeholder templates. So what that means is we come through and we drag and drop where they need to live. And once we're happy with that, we can come up and we can save that as, ELD template, for example. So the next time we come in here, all we're needing to do is to come through, select that template that we created previously, and just populate. So we can speed up that process quite a bit for quite a lot of documents that we're sending out, just to make it nice and easy. Again, trying to minimize some of that human error, and we can send the documents away directly. Big important thing, when we do send it, is making sure that we've got the ability, let me make Amelia a signer here, is to make sure that we have all of your branding set up here as well. So we don't want to make sure that it's not coming through from a generic email, but it's coming through from the business specifically, and that's the important thing that we're looking for. So when we do send that out, it's all going to come through from the accounting firm directly. Now, as I said, I won't go through the sign-in experience exactly because we've had a look at that with Kaz, but what I do want to show you is our active dashboard. So what we're looking at here is then everything that we've currently got out for signing across every user in the business. So what we find with other signing platforms, and again, one of the frustrations that we had was it was per user, which means in order to have all the team on it, we had to spend an exorbitant amount to do that, to get visibility across everything. So people end up using one or two accounts and everyone shares those accounts. So we have no visibility across anything that's out for signing or who actually sent it. So we do not charge based on users. It's purely based on how much you're sending out for signing. And that way we can have all the team members in. So from an audit perspective, we can see that. And when we send things out, we also then color code to the stage that it's in. So even if it's a BGL CAS 360 document, we can see it all here. So whether they've signed, whether they haven't, whether they view the documents but they haven't signed yet, it should give your team a really easy way to come in and check where things are at. Also knowing that we've got those automatic reminders being triggered at the same time to do the heavy lifting for us. Cool. Jess, I'll hand back to you. I thought it might be nice just to show through a couple of those things there. But everyone is welcome. We'll talk about this in a moment. But Jess, if you want to take the screen back, you're welcome to.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Beautiful. We offer free trials of FuseSign. In that free trial, you're welcome to integrate it across any of the apps that we do integrate with. So CAS 360 being one of them, so you can test it out for yourself